But somewhere, quietly, subtly, things had started to fade. Not love, exactly. The love was still there, a comfortable, warm blanket. But something vital was missing. The spark, the thrill, the feeling of being truly seen, truly desired in that raw, intense, all-consuming way. Our life had become predictable, routine. Comfort had morphed into something bordering on complacency, and I was restless, though I barely admitted it to myself. I craved something I couldn't quite name, but a yearning that settled deep in my bones.
I never thought I'd be that person. I judged those people. But one night, alone, scrolling through my phone while Mark was asleep next to me, completely oblivious, completely innocent, I found myself on an online dating app. Just looking, I told myself, curiosity, a harmless peek into a world I'd left behind years ago. I created a fake profile. No photo, just a vague description. I didn't intend to talk to anyone. Not really. It was just an escape hatch, a fantasy window. Then he messaged. Jake. His profile was electric, adventurous, witty, charming, and his photo, well, he was gorgeous. Dark, soulful eyes, a smile that seemed to hint at untold mischief. I told myself it was just a game, a harmless flirtation, a fantasy. I replied. And then another message. And another. The conversations were easy, exhilarating. He asked questions Mark hadn't asked in years. He listened. Chuckles. He made me laugh until my stomach hurt, tapping out replies late into the night, the glow of my phone screen the only light in the quiet room. It was like a drug. The thrill of the forbidden, the secret life I was building, entirely separate from my reality with Mark. Every time my phone buzzed with his name, my heart would do a frantic little dance in my chest. It felt like I was 15 again, giddy with a secret crush. He made me feel beautiful, interesting, desired in a way I hadn't felt in so long. I'd almost forgotten what it was like to feel that intense pull. It moved to late-night phone calls. Whispered words, stolen moments. I'd go for a walk after Mark went to bed, the crisp night air doing nothing to cool the flush on my cheeks, or lock myself in the bathroom for a long bath, the faucet running to mask my hushed voice. My heart would pound every time I heard Mark stir from the bedroom. The lie became a part of me, a second skin, and the more I talked to Jake, the more I felt alive, vibrant, reckless. He made me feel like the best version of myself, a version I'd hidden away. The idea of meeting him in person was terrifying and exhilarating. I knew it was wrong. Every fiber of my being screamed at me that I was crossing a line I could never uncross. But the craving for that thrill, for that connection, was overpowering. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing it was dangerous, but unable to resist the urge to jump. I told Mark I was having drinks with an old college friend, and I hadn't seen in years. The lie slid out so easily it sickened me. We agreed to meet at a quiet bar on the other side of town. The drive there was a blur of adrenaline and anxiety. My hands were shaking, my palms sweating. What if he wasn't like his profile? What if he was? What if I got caught? The scent of the leather seats in my car, the hum of the engine, the blinking streetlights, everything felt hyper-real, yet dreamlike. I walked in, my breath catching in my throat, and there he was, leaning against the bar, just as charming, just as magnetic as his photos. He saw me, and that smile, it was like an electric current shot through me, bypassing all my defenses. He looked at me like I was the only woman in the room, like I was everything he'd been looking for. We talked for hours. The conversation flowed, even easier than online. We drank too much, laughed too loud. The air between us was thick with unspoken tension, a dangerous, thrilling energy. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing mine. A spark. A real, undeniable spark that raced up my arm and settled in my chest. I knew what was happening. I knew where this was going. And I let it. My mind felt fuzzy, detached, yet incredibly focused on him. When we left the bar, the world felt distorted, hazy. He hailed a cab and we ended up back at his place. One kiss led to another and another. It was passionate, raw, desperate. It wasn't just sex. It was a desperate craving for something new, something that made me feel like I was truly there. In that moment with him, I felt utterly consumed. My mind was empty of Mark, of guilt, of consequences. There was only Jake and me and the burning intensity of the present. It was a dizzying, beautiful, terrifying oblivion. For those few hours, I was utterly, selfishly free. The moment it was over, it hit me. A cold, crushing wave. The adrenaline drained away, leaving a hollow ache. I was lying in a stranger's bed, the scent of him on my skin, and the reality crashed down. Mark. Sweet, unsuspecting Mark. What had I done? The thrill evaporated, replaced by a shame so profound it felt physical. A knot tightened.
In my stomach, my throat closed up. My heart was pounding, not with excitement, but with fear and self-loathing. I just wanted to disappear. I wanted to rewind time, to be back in my own bed, next to Mark, before I made that choice.
I hurried home, a terrible dread in my chest. I crept into our apartment, the silence louder than any siren. Mark was still asleep. I looked at his peaceful face, his hand innocently curled on his pillow, and a fresh wave of self-disgust washed over me. How could I have done this to him? I stripped off my clothes, showered until my skin was raw, scrubbing away the scent, the memory, the shame. But it clung to me, an invisible stain. For days, weeks, it was a constant hum beneath the surface. I started looking at Mark differently, through a new lens of my own deception. Every kind word he spoke, every innocent touch, felt like a dagger twisting in my gut. And I did it again. And again. The guilt was always there, a heavy cloak, but so was the pull. The desperate need for that escape, that feeling of being wanted, that thrill. I became a master of lies, late nights at work, girls' nights, excuses for being distant or preoccupied.
My life was split in two. With Mark, I was the loving girlfriend, the dependable partner. With Jake, I was reckless, alive, dangerous, and I hated myself for it. I was living a double life, performing two different versions of myself, and neither felt truly authentic. The original Sarah, the honest Sarah, was buried under layers of deceit.
The weight of the secret became unbearable. I started losing sleep, lying awake for hours, replaying conversations, picturing Mark's face if he knew. My appetite vanished. I was irritable, constantly on edge. I couldn't look Mark in the eye without feeling like a fraud. Every laugh we shared, every tender moment felt tainted by my betrayal. I was spiraling. I was losing myself, trapped in a web of my own making. The initial thrill had long faded, replaced by a gnawing emptiness, a deep, pervasive sadness. I hurt Mark, but I was also hurting myself. I wasn't just cheating on him, I was cheating myself out of an honest life, out of peace. So why am I telling you this now? Because I can't live with it anymore. The guilt is a physical pain, a constant pressure on my chest that makes it hard to breathe. I can't look at myself in the mirror. I don't know what will happen after this video. I don't know if Mark will ever forgive me, or if our
relationship can even survive this. I don't deserve his forgiveness. But I have to be honest. I have to confess, not just to him, but to myself, and to the world, what I've done. I've broken trust, I've caused pain, and I've betrayed the person I claimed to love. There's no excuse, no justification, only regret, deep and consuming.
If you're out there, feeling that same emptiness, that same pull of temptation, please, think. Think about the cost. The thrill is fleeting. The guilt, the damage, the broken trust, that lasts. It's a heavy, heavy price. And I'm only just beginning to pay it. I don't know what my future holds, but I know I have to face it, and I have to try to heal, and be honest, starting now. This is my confession, and it's the hardest thing I've ever had to say.